So official welcome to all, and the reason for documenting is because it's an opportunity for us to have a record of the event in case any of us need it for future funding or awards or fellowships or things like that, groovy things that sometimes poets try to achieve or receive. And so that's why I think it's important to do that. But it's also a really sweet reminder of an event or a time well spent with others. Tonight we have a number of poets who are going to be spotlit, and they're invited poets. And as well, we will have a featured poet who tonight is Lorraine Caputo, who is hailing from South America and has just released a new chapbook, which I hope Lorraine will tell us about because it's apparently free and downloadable. It's in a series that's referred to as an origami chapbook series. So that sounds really exciting to me, and we're going to hear more from Lorraine. She'll come on midway during the show. At this moment, I would like to invite us to tell us where we're hailing from in the moment, because that's important, and to call in and invite our antepasados, our ancestors, those who have forged pathways for us to be here today, so we can invite them into the space with us. And I see there are people in the waiting room, so I need to let them in the virtual space too. And I'm going to invite you to put in the chat the location where you're currently residing. And if you happen to know the name of the original peoples who resided in the land, on the land where you now live, that would be nice to have that as well. So please put that in the chat, and then we can all read those in a moment. I myself am based in North Texas, AKA Fort Worth, but it's also the ancestral homelands of the Comanche, the Waco, Wichita, and affiliated tribes people. And it's important to me, and it grows more and more important to me to acknowledge and recognize that anytime that I'm representing from this land, among others. And because this is a series that celebrates community, I'm really excited. I'm going to give you a brief glimpse of a Zoom photo we snapped last month of the folks who attended. It was such a great array of people. And I believe that even though we're in virtual spaces where we can't be close to each other in the flesh, touching and feeling each other's breath upon our bodies, that there are other ways, and we're negotiating this kind of space so we can create opportunities for feeling like we're in the same space together. So I applaud all the folks who were with us last month, because it was really an incredible experience, and I hope tonight's will be that way as well. Miriam, are you about ready to share? Okay, I don't have bios because I don't want to take up too much time with introducing folks, because I think the poet can do that best. And just shout out about yourself. What's most important about you that you'd like to share for today? What's on your mind, or what you're feeling, what you're bringing, or what you bring with you tonight to the space. Miriam, I've met you through Macondo Writers Workshop, and I also, I've heard you read, and I love your vibe, and I'm so happy that you wanted to present something this month. And
thank you.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I joined last month at the tail end, about the last hour, by accident, because Victoria told me about Tammy's group, and I said, you said you were all reading poetry? I said, I want in. And you all were just an incredible, warm group. And I was even more touched by the fact that Tammy's the nexus, but that you all didn't know each other per se. Tammy was the nexus, and yet you were able, within that hour or so that I participated, to just exude this incredible community. So that led me to tell Tammy, I feel warm and comfy, cozy in this group, so I'd love to read. I'm from El Paso originally, and I now live in San Antonio, which is the ancestral lands of the Payaya Indians. And I am writing a poetry memoir. And today I am reading based on the theme Dando Paz. That gave to me the idea of, you're giving peace, and also with peace comes that, I guess, grace of thanks, right? With that peace comes that, and that's kind of what I felt and what I wrote. So that's what I ended up saying. It's titled Dando Paz, Giving Thanks. The black sky as a canvas with diamond stars. Squinting left eye as my right index finger touches the star right above me. The illusion of proximity when reality is eons away. 2020 was my myopia recalibrated, awakening each day to see as far as the horizon, the heart restoring the visual deception. The humble migrant worker giving thanks, the seedlings of gratefulness she dispersed, and I, the speck in the universe, giving gracias. And then, do you want me to read my other one now or wait?
It would be great if you would wait and do the second one, because I feel that that's a way to give back to the person who reads first. So if people, you'll come on later for your second piece. In Danny's case, Danny Solis, who I believe, Danny, you're going to be going next because W. Joe Hoppy hasn't arrived in the space yet. In your case, Danny, since you have to be off this call by 9, si quieres, you can present both your poemas ahorita. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll hear more from you in a moment. Gracias. And feel free, folks, to use the reaction buttons, or if you want to unmute and be heard in your aplauso and your cheering, that's fine to do that. I believe that's fine. Thanks. So Danny, you're on deck. You ready to go?
Yeah, I am. Something's going on with my video here. I don't know what happened.
I see you very clearly.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I will just read then. And I will say that I am on Ojibwe, Midwankaton Sioux land, and also known as Rochester, Minnesota these days. And I'm working on a novel, Exhausted from Christmas, and feeling pretty good, feeling blessed. And I wrote this one earlier this year in April as a 30 for 30. But it was about what we were all going through and what we're still going through. I think some of us, a lot of us, most of us. I'm going to try to follow my own rule that the introduction shouldn't be longer than the poem. So just going to do the poem. It was a grip of violins, violas, double basso profundo, bata, shaker, guiro, a clutch of timbales, guitarrón, quinta, and conga, a small voice unspooling in the dark, a thread of light dividing the shadow in the most natural, unpredictable way forward. Song, like a sweet drink of cool water, coming to ease the common persistent complaint of thirst, the rough rash of loneliness, soothed by a melody, released from a balcony without caution, calculation, or carefully considered etiquette, connecting to the first small phrases, spun out into the smug void, shape of breath, shaping air, shaping sound, armfuls of voices spilling out into the silence, a rough tapestry, a shimmer in the air that longs for springtime, like arms long to be filled by the beloved. All these songs and strings and drums and silly and temporary, ridiculous and beautiful, beautifully ridiculous, unquenchable absurdities of hope rushing in, not knowing enough to let logic or fear stop its exponential cascade of impossible, a magic's, the bright flood of miracles unfurling in the unlikeliest of places. Thank you. And then I wrote this one for the solstice, which I think everyone celebrates, even if we don't call it that. Winter nights lengthen. Earth spins, an elliptical wandering farther into the blue void of space, farther from the molten sun. Autumn moon gibbous waning down to December, sweep and gust. Winter comes. Winter in white robes and mane of darkling ice. Winter and her blue-black melody, spinning dark of lengthening nights, a solemn repetition, chanting the overcast ritual of sunrise, navigation of days, frozen river, frozen pond, ritual of sunset, long conversation of ice and darkness, cathedrals of snow, the stars in shivering array, whiter in the colder sky, and the moon hides away. What carries us to the next moments? A random bonfire in a neighbor's front yard on a weeknight to push back the darkness. A string of bright moments, a kind phrase, a string of lights on a railing, somehow enough to make us believe in a song. Crescent moon appears. Crescent moon, slender and perfect as a doe poised on the edge of a clearing, to remind us the light never truly goes away. The song is there for the singing in every heart, at every moment. River of song, open fields of light, abundant joy in the promise of springtime.
Beautiful. Thank
Thank
you. Were you outside to see the JS, the Just Saying, the Jupiter and the Saturn?
It was overcast here. It was completely cloudy.
Oh,
It's like clear every other night until there's a celestial event, and then it's Minnesota's like clouds. You get clouds. I want to say I wish I could stay longer. I'm sorry I had to. That read and run thing is rude. I know everybody will be tisking me, but you're open to take any sort of revenge you want. And
well, I'm gonna ask you for a favor before you go.
yes, okay.
On the theme of the solstice, I would like to acknowledge that we lost a very monumental poet this month, Diane DePrima, and I was wondering if you could lead us in a reading of one of her poems. It's on the screen. It'll be on the screen, so you can read it out loud. But I'd like for everybody to unmute their mics and read this poem out loud together. But we'll be led by Danny, who once you see it, everyone will see it at the same time. But Danny, do you mind taking that on?
Okay, I would like to, but I'm just having a problem with my screen. For some reason, it's really shrunk now. Oh boy, I don't know what's going on.
Well, you're still the same size.
I can't see. Like, I know, but here's the thing. I'm saying I can't see any screen or anything. Like,
Uh-oh.
y'all are about this big on my screen right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Okay. I'm sure there are plenty of people who will do a great job reading. Let me see if I can figure this out. Just give me a sec.
Diane DePrima was a feminist beat poet. Connie, you might know some more things to say about Diane DePrima, or maybe had you met her before?
Muted.
Unmute.
Connie, are you trying to unmute yourself? Yeah, it just like, there's an effort. Yeah.
The Mime Festival. Press the button.
So she was a contemporary, Diane de Prima was a contemporary of Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg and others. And she is considered one of the, more prolific women writers of that movement and time.
She is the mother of our chapbook. That's where I got my idea for all the chapbooks that I published over the years. The chapbook.
And what do you title your chapbook series?
Well, there are several.
Oh, okay, okay.
I have several chapbooks, but she is pretty much the innovator of the 5x11 chapbook that everyone made back in the 80s. But she had done it in the 60s and 70s, and was my role model for that.
Well, I'm going to share the poem now, and it's very brief and it's very straightforward, but I think it'd be a lovely tribute to share. If you could see it, Danny, go ahead and kick it off. If you can't, then we'll just start.
Can't see it. I'm sorry.
Okay. The title is Winter Solstice 2019 by Diane de Prima. 3, 2, 1, begin. It always does. Whether we think or not.
No
matter how determined
dark
gloomy,
that things are working
should be sure
the
that
word
things are worse
be right.
than they even be right.
Here comes the sun.
But here comes the sun. Try and stop it.
Right.
Gracias. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Danny, for being here, and I hope your computer issues resolve. And hasta pronto, bro.
I'm going to hang around. I'm going to hang around and listen to people right up until 9. And my computer issue got fixed right as soon as y'all were done reading the poem. And that was lovely. And thank you for recognizing Diane de Prima. Much love and respect. Thanks.
Connie Williams is up next, and Connie and I shared a ride to Dallas together because we were on our way to go hear Ann Waldman. Ann Waldman also was involved with the beat scene, and she was doing a featured reading and performance with her son, who's a musician, at the McKinney Arts Contemporary. And Connie and I met by email, and this happens with poets in my life. We just meet on email or by phone call and then talk and arrange, and then days or weeks later, we're in a car together on a road trip. So we did a road trip, and I just loved getting to meet you in person, Connie. You also have hosted an annual poetry festival. So what else do you want to share about yourself? And then start off your reading with the first piece, please.
Well, I live in La Mesa, Texas. I'm a retired adjunct English professor and music therapist. The Poetry Festival was 17 years long, and we had a lot of fun. This is the home of Apaches and Comanches and Quanah Parker. There is a monument west of town at Cedar Lake. On the east side of town, there are sacred Indian burial grounds and cliff wall paintings. And someday I hope, can you hear me okay, everybody? Yeah. All right. And I had a really difficult time writing a poem about peace. I filled up a notebook full of poems and I never got satisfied. But this morning, I dashed out this one and it seemed to come together okay. So I'm going to share it with you. And it's untitled as of now. I'm cleaning up a mess from the kitchen cabinet. I've spilt words all over the counter and I can't find the right rag to catch them in. I was going to take them to bed with me, let the night wind blowing around my window organize them in my head. But they are scattered out before me like broken shards of glass. They sparkle in odd shapes and sizes, calling to me. If I could just rearrange them, push them into place like a jigsaw puzzle, would that work? But I must be careful because some are full of memories and the edges may be sharp and painful. I am no glazer. I must look for gloves to protect my hands and a container to place them in. My skull is large enough, and lately my brain has become a useless burden, too heavy to carry around. If I sit down at this wooden table with pen and paper, perhaps I can draw them, then use my scissors to cut them out like paper dolls, but give them arms and hands and join little fingers together to link around the planet in joy to the world. That's it.
I love that. I love the idea of letting the wind sort and arrange and sequence the words while you sleep.
We are
Really
famous
sweet.
for the wind, and that's what it does. It blows us around. So, the next person can follow me.
Yeah.
So I think that's me. I'm Cesar de Leon. I currently reside in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, land of the Lipan Apache and the Carrizo Come Crudo and other Coahuiltecan peoples. The piece that I would like to read today is somewhat of an older piece, but I think it's still relevant. And the Dando Paz part of it, I think it's just coming to terms with sometimes we might write or want to react to something with anger. And those are those ranty pieces that we sometimes write, or at least I sometimes write. But this is kind of taking something that, you know, was making me angry and kind of coming to terms with it, or finding, you know, making peace with it, I suppose. It's titled, In Response to People Chanting, Build That Wall on TV. I say bridge, bridge as pilgrim, bridge as litany, bridge as pen, bridge as canto, bridge as noche buena, bridge as Holy Ghost, bridge as palm fronds, bridge as jaguarundi footprints on dirt roads, bridge as sueño, bridge as opportunity, bridge as steady job, bridge as a nice cold one after a long day of work. October 2017, students at a Utah high school football game chant, build the wall. And I say bridge as callous carpenter hands, bridge as dad's red toolbox, bridge as sweat running down your everything after work, bridge as molcajete that always smells like garlic and comino, bridge as crisscross applesauce, bridge as classroom, bridge as cuento, bridge as library, bridge as barbacoa on Sunday, bridge as a blue winter sky on a panaderia calendar, bridge as sábila hanging over the kitchen door, bridge as ojo de venado, bridge as sensontle song, as grito, as sutra, as silver milagritos. Spring Break 2017, a group of American spring breakers in Cancun chant, build the wall, while at a pool party. I say bridge as southern wind, bridge as open window, bridge as spine, bridge as wide as the night sky, bridge as rolled R's, as barrio, as house, as brown sugar to sweeten your day, bridge as wato, bridge as crown, bridge as rainbow, as hermana, hermano, hermanex, bridge as prickly pear, bridge as a Eucharist, bridge as a chicharra on your tongue, as a holy vision. November 2016, Archer City High School students chant, "Build that wall," during a volleyball game against students from Fort Hancock. I say bridge as eagle feather, bridge as prayer book, bridge as four corners, bridge as first rain after a drought, bridge as an outstretched hand, bridge as sacred smoke, bridge as spirit guide, bridge as a cornfield, bridge as empanada, as convoy, as glossy grocery store floors, bridge as skyscraper. Thursday, November 9, 2017, students at Royal Oak Middle School in Michigan began chanting, "Build that wall" during their lunch period. I say bridge as anthem, bridge as brass section, as star-spangled eyes, bridge as cornucopia, bridge as a 24-hour taqueria, as cherry pie, as a mesa, as ferry. At every Trump rally before and after November 9th, 2017, Americans chant, "Build that wall." And I say bridge as movimiento, bridge as mother, as lengua, as birth, as corazón. Thank you.
Oh gosh, your voice reading that. It's the, I mean, the quality of your voice reading that is just moving. It really dug in deep. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'd not see that poem like that is also a record and a document, because you list those dates and those locations where those affronts, those you know, indignant and ugly affronts happen.
Yeah. Yep.
And I love how you know, fight back with the bridge, the idea of bridging and bridging and bridging and bridging.
Thank you.
Gracias. So we'll hear another one from you momentarily. And I'm doing a lot of switcherooing because of the changes. And W. Joe Hoppy hasn't come in. Maybe he got drunk because he had a chapbook kickoff reading at 2:00 this afternoon, and maybe he's out in his, you know, drag racing or something in his hot rod car or something. And I think he'd be laughing at all these things I'm saying, because he's a friend and I know him well. So we're missing out on W. Joe Hoppy. So we're gonna move on to the next part, which is and gracias, Cesar, and can't wait to hear your next. We'll go ahead with Lorraine. Lorraine, are you up for being next with the featured spotlight? Lorraine Caputo, ¿dónde estás?
Aquí.
Okay, great. So, Lorraine, I'd love to bring you on next, and you're the featured poet for this month, because I like to help folks celebrate and tout and promote new work. And I know you've got a forthcoming book coming out, but you said you already have one out, which we're gonna highlight tonight. And it's it's part of a origami chapbook series. Can you explain about that and tell us about the title, and of course share, you know, as much as you want from the book, because I know it's only has 5 or 7 pieces in it.
I think it has 7 poems in it. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out where I'm at here. Origami Chapbooks is a series of free micro chaps, they call them. They're, you know, very mini chapbooks that are free. People access the file on the website of origamipoems.org, and you print out the chapbook that you want. They have instructions on how to fold it like origami, no? and you have yourself a little itsy bitsy chapbook. And I don't know how I can give the link in the chat. There is
Thank
the
you.
link for the website. And let's see. Okay, I'll read the first one.
Oh, and please tell us about
Beneath the
you
Enchant.
and where you're speaking from, as vague or as
Oh,
specific as you want to be.
right. I'm someplace deep in the Ecuadorian Andes, homeland of present-day Quechua, in the past Kitucara, Karanki, Shiris, and other indigenous nations. So my microchap is called Beneath the Enchanted Moon, Galapagos Nights. It's short poems that I wrote while in the Galapagos Islands. I've been out there 3 times working on volunteer projects. And so, and as they are called the Enchanted Isles, courtesy of Melville, then that's why it's called Beneath the Enchanted Moon. The first poem is in the night of a moon yet to rise, yet to dance, through shorn clouds, crickets rasp the sea ebbs and petrels twirl on silent silver wings. 2. This 3/4 moon shadows torn clouds, edges them with platinum, stars between in the clean slate blue sky. I listen to the sea's lullaby. And the third one, you like clouds lustrous beneath the near full moon, embraced by a copper ring, broad hands of a puntia silhouette against the sky. The night drips, and now and again the chitter of petrels in flight. Yes? Eek. Where am I?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Love that chitter.
Pardon?
Love that.
Oh dear.
I love that chitter.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Are you going to present?
Oh no.
Lorraine, are you okay?
The solar storm is making us break up.
Oh,
I'm okay. The thing is that tu conexión a internet está inestable.
you haven't dropped out at all, Lorraine. I haven't missed a single word, I don't think.
Well, you guys are kind of breaking up. So there's 4 other ones, and so it's totally free to get yourself a copy. You can print off copies to gift to people, your family and friends. It's kind of a cool project.
Lorraine, is there artwork as well? Is in the design of the chapbook? Are there illustrations?
In the cover there is, because you know it's only a 1 sheet of paper that you then fold up, right? And so the cover has a photo, and the photo that's on the chapbook is actually one of my photos from the Galapagos Islands. Let's see, I think right there is the chapbook, the cover
Oh, yes.
folded by author. And then you can download it and then print it off.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. If you have to drop out because of the storm, we'll understand, but I do hope you'll stick around and chime in later with other words if you want.
I'll be here.
Lorraine and I met in Austin, Texas years ago, and we were both doing radio. And we have a mutual friend in Frida Worden, who is an amazing feminist radio producer.
And also another one of our old cohorts I see is also present, Tom. No, he was there. Did he disappear? Hello, Tom.
Tom's muted.
I think he's heard your acknowledgement. I think he knows that you're here.
I think he's trying to figure out how to unmute himself.
You're absolutely right, Lorena. I am 16th century. I am not part of this world. It is wonderful. I'm so glad you're featured. You need to be honored at all times, in all places, in every venue. We've known each other for so many years, and you've consistently taken poetry and listened to poetry in every part of South America and the North. So thank you so much for everything you are.
Thank you, Tom.
So at this moment, I'd like to go ahead and invite us to have a little bit of a break, bio break, and then when we come back, we're going to hear from Jose Rodriguez and from Amy Veach, and moving forward after that. So I'm going to put on some music, and we'll be back in about 5 to 7 minutes. So do what you need to do, and we'll come right back here. Thank you.
We're probably living about 40 minutes away from each other, something like that. And I grew up in this area. I was born in Mexico, but I came to the U.S. when I was very little. And so I'll read one short poem that is in my latest collection that I think fits with the theme. With today's theme, it's called Antarctica. I'm waiting for the screen's talking heads, cheeks red and engorged, to stop bobbing, to quiet, until only mute faces linger, unblinking and quenched. I'm waiting, I think, for the world to empty of words, like one of those lakes in Antarctica that develops a crevice in its belly and dissolves in hours. A lake older than mountains, rushing to the great center, that imagined place, leaving behind the form of its absence. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll hear more in the next round from you. Gracias. And next, Amy, if you're in the house and ready to unmute, let's hear it. And of course, tell us where you're based and anything else you want to do to promote the work you do, or share about yourself.
Thank you, Tammy. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I met Tammy, I'm not even sure how many years ago, sometime in the last 5 years, through Brian McCarthy, who's here on this call also. I have lived here in Raleigh for a long time and have known Brian for a long time from North Texas. And we started seeing each other, so we have this crazy long distance relationship. But right now we're in Raleigh, North Carolina. He drove up here. There he is. He roped me into, in this sneaky way, a poetry group on Facebook. I'm actually a visual artist, And so, you know, I took the challenge of being part of this Facebook group. So every April, I write 30 poems at least, and write a poem every day. And it's been a wonderful thing for me to do, because words are not my my playground, really. So I spent a lot of time this April by myself, alone in a house where I've lived for a very long time that has lots of memories, and spent a lot of time, you know, just dealing with some of that. So I actually have 2 short poems now, and then in the second round, 2 other poems. So they're all very short. So this is some of the ways, these first 2 poems are some of the ways I dealt with the anxiety of being alone for weeks on end and not seeing any people except on this kind of screen. I don't have any titles for these also. So this is the first one. Someone once told me to narrow my focus when I was anxious. Be here, be present, notice my surroundings, even narrow that view to the moment, the breath. Someone once told me to breathe in the world when I was anxious. Realize life and my life is bigger, wider than that moment which will pass, becoming another moment. In time, here and now, ticking by, choosing moments, past meeting present, present meaning past. Breathe it in now, hang on to something a little bigger. So that was the first one. And
we'll come back to you for the second round, so you could do the second one.
Well, I have these 2, and then I have 2 other short ones for the second round.
Okay.
Once again, I stumble across your subconscious, sitting on the fence between night and morning, between stasis and motion, between belief and loss, between confusion and sadness, between commitment and chaos, howling at the moon and stars, the sun and clouds, the wind and rains, the plants and animals, the waters and the land, wondering about ideas and inventions, art and poetry, science and history, religion and medicine, education and politics, dancing in the light of love and friendship, compassion and family, peace and community, justice and culture, humor and emotion. I may prevaricate, even vacillate on much, but I'm gonna hedge my bets on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks for sharing. That's a lot of words for a person that doesn't work with words. Thank you for doing that. And we'll come back to you again on the second round. So next, Ramsey, if you're ready. Ramsey Sprague is a dear close friend of mine, and I'm very happy that you've offered, to accept my invitation. So let's hear from you and tell us a little bit about who you are to those who don't know you and where you're based currently. Gracias.
Gracias to Tammy. So my name is Ramsey Sprague. I am chiming in from Mobile, Alabama. As I put in the chat, this is commonly referred to as Chattahoochee land or Muskogee land, which are Choctaw and Creek, so-called nations, their corollaries. But this land was devastated by some of the earliest European arrivals, and the disease that racked this region is also the clearing of the nations here is what made it so prime for French settlement. Mobile is one of the earliest settled cities in the continent, and it's a fascinating place to be. but I am typically a musician, and so I have a song, but I'm not going to play the guitar. I'm just going to read the lyrics. Having some second thoughts about our last conversation, I can't peacefully watch me wreck reconciliation. If I gave us more time, perhaps we could make a moire, a blending and balancing of these comforts and forays into strangers' feeds and timelines and judgment days, apocalyptic trysts with power plays and thus shame. It's just, I thought you were the one that I needed to love, who could teach me about all the things I've mistreated, including myself. Oh Lord, I need you. But a sickening paranoia and numb passive aggression makes dismal days the norm and kills our mutual affection. It's not all your fault, nor is it mine, and perhaps the shared time I should seek is time apart to heal perceptions of that which makes us weak in my eyes and seemingly unable to thrive, without stones thrown in baseless pride, just like I tried. I could have sworn we were the ones we needed to have and to hold to keep us from feeling defeated. And I know it's unfair to put that on each other, but I have unmet needs and now I've blown my cover. But then I saw that I needed some patience and healing, and time proved me right. I'm here and able to dance with you from distance. It's like the dance has us happy enough to get by. How far we've come to be here in the now, no matter the distance, in the there, no matter the where. Now, 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 there, 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 now, now, there, there. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah, and you mentioned the title of Tommy Orange's novel, There. It just came to mind, sorry, it's literary reference, unintended by you perhaps, but yeah, pleasure just the same to hear it. Yeah. Surprised that you haven't gotten splashed by any of that water. I didn't, yeah.
I'm actually still wet. I was on the water earlier today.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Not on the Gulf, but in water.
In water. Bathtub. Thank you. And we'll come back to you in the second round. Thanks for sharing. And we're gonna, yeah. Aplauso. Cheers. We're gonna start back from the top with our first poeta. If you're ready, Miriam. Is it Buhanda or is the J? Yeah. Okay. Buhanda.
It is.
Welcome again, Miriam.
Thank you. I have so I was doing a Covet poem every day, or still have been doing that. So this is one of my Covet poems of April 21. There will be days. There will be days of letting go, slowly decaying plans, exhaling. There will be days, swiftly sliding expectations, softly landing where you are, now, at the moment. There will be days, skydiving, free falling, sighing. There will be days, gliding.
I have questions, Miriam. Is there a what was the intention to do the daily COVID poem? When did you begin? Was it in March or when was that?
March 7th, we decided we would shelter in a week before the city shut down. So we'd already, I guess, seen the writing on the wall and said, we're sheltering in. So we've been sheltered since. So that was my coping mechanism.
Wow, it was the same day for me, Miriam, and I was heading home from San Antonio, where I last saw you
Yeah.
at the ATP conference, and I was on the mega bus, which I wouldn't dare be on even today. I was on the mega bus heading back to North Texas, and the bus passed Austin, Texas, right when it hit the internet that South by Southwest was being canceled.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, when I read that on my little Kindle screen, passing through Austin, I just, the surge of anxiety just went up, because I knew I still had to be on that mega bus for at least 2 more hours. And I suddenly felt very, very unsafe sharing air in that closed tube, moving tube on four however many wheels, going back home. And then the next day, which was International Women's Day, March 8th, I had one social day with a few friends, and then zilch, nada. Second question, if anybody else has a question for Miriam, go ahead and unmute and ask, but I have one myself. And do you have a plan for that collection of daily poems? Do you want to do something with that stack of work?
I don't know. I mean, as I said, I used them as a way to cope. Initially thinking it was only going to be a short, like everyone else, right? You thought it was going to be like a short time. I thought this will be 3 weeks, so why not this little historical thing? And then it went from historical thing to, oh, this is the only way I'm going to cope, because who knows how long this is going to last. So yeah.
Yeah, you made me think of somebody who, a person, from the Neanderthal age with a broken ankle, laying in the cave and scribbling last words, hoping somebody might someday see them,
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that work, and I'd love to hear more or read more later sometime. Gracias. Yes. Any other questions for Miriam, since we got her on the deck here, ahorita? Okay, then moving forward, it's time to invite Connie Williams back for more sharing. If Connie is in the space.
I am here.
Hi.
Hi. Let me just throw my pages back up here. Is this covering my face? My Word file? Okay.
Nothing's covering your face, no.
Okay. I've been kind of following the Afghan women since 1975, not religiously, but a cursory nod from time to time. And Tom sent me a book, a little anthology recently that reminded me of that. And I'm just gonna, my reading is longer than the poems, but I think it's important because of the idea of not funding foreign people. And that could be a disaster for Afghan and pulling out the troops. It could be a disaster for the women because the Taliban are just being held back by shoestring. Poetry is revered in Afghanistan, and particularly one that's called the Lande. And it's like, it goes like, this is one from that collection. Your eyes aren't eyes, they're bees. I can find no cure for their sting. They're mostly sung, but female singing is linked to licentiousness in Afghan consciousness. And the Landes are recited in secret, just among the women. The woman's life is like a cloak and dagger dance around honor. There's a gap between who she seems to be and who she is. The Lande, the first line is 22 syllables. The 9 is the second line. I'm sorry, 22 syllables. 9 in the first line, 13 in the second. The words are often accompanied by a hand drum. They are filled with wit, horror, romance, and humor. Now, the people that collected and photographed these poems are Eliza Griswold and Seamus Murphy, and it's called Wide Awake Field. And these are my inspirations. And then, although I'm a musician, I wanted to try a little hand drum. Unfortunately, my cats made work of my drum and busted the bottom out. So we'll do the best we can. And they don't, my poems don't, these are just inspirations. They don't follow that strict guideline. It's like writing haiku. A lot of us westernize it. Morning comes, my face reflected in the mirror. My nose is bright red, as though rouged with dragon's blood. If I were Pashtun woman, I would color my toes with henna and polish the nail aquamarine. I wore harem pants to my bridegroom's bed, pretended not to want to kiss him. What is an old wrinkled man in a turban doing in my desert tent? War has marked madness upon his face, turned his eyes to blood. Will this red nose wash clean, or will it last forever, as though I had committed sin in the night? Someday I hope to hear the woman reciting a landrace and with her drum and singing it. There's not much out there to be found because of the horror of retribution from the Taliban. So that's it. Let's keep them in our hearts.
Connie, thank you for bringing that to the foreground. It's important for me to be reminded of things that aren't in front of me. So I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. And there's love in that remembrance that you bring. Thank you. You did pretty good with that drum too.
I wish. Well, I'm nervous. I don't think I've ever done anything with a drum before, but I've wanted to give that a try. So perhaps I'll practice. Imagine that.
Connie, someone just asked how you spell the term that you used. I guess that form, Landay.
L-A-N-D-Y. Let me just look.
L-A-N-D-A-Y.
D-A-Y?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I kept struggling with it because I was not doing it properly. And Pashtun. How many ways are there to spell Pashtun? Well, I saw several.
P-A-S-H-T-U-N.
Yeah, I think I've read that one, so I think
It probably has to do with tense, the reason there are different spellings. Landay, L-A-N-D-A-Y.
So Miriam, Miriam, I should have asked you this before, but you can drop it in the chat, but please, Connie, can you tell us how people can reach you, or email you, or learn more, find your work online?
Connie Williams on Facebook. And I'll just type in my email.
Great. Yeah, feel free, everyone, the poets sharing tonight, to drop your Instagram handles or your email addresses if you have websites or places where people can read your work or follow you. That would be great.
Don't give up my email. My box sometimes kicks mail out. I've had it a long time.
Thank you so much, Connie.
Thank you for having me. I truly enjoyed it. I spent this whole week trying to write a poem about peace. And as I said, I gave up this morning. I don't have peace. I'm too passionate to be very peaceful. But I try, just like we all do.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Right.
Thank you. I'm ready now to introduce Cesar de Leon, if y'all are ready to hear him the second round. And Cesar, also let us know how we can reach you or follow your work. If you've got upcoming readings, now's a great time to share info about that.
Yes, thank you, Tammy. I don't know if I thanked you before the first poem because it was kind of long, so I was like, I want to get to the poem. but thank you for inviting me to be part of this space. A couple of things that I do want to mention. One, my first collection of poems will be out in April of 2021.
Nice.
From Flower Song Press, and I'll go ahead and see if I can paste that. So that's the press website. They have a bunch of books coming up in 2021 and a bunch of them already out. So it's a small press. I would highly recommend y'all check it out.
It's also
so I'm very grateful. And it's based in the Valley, yes. It's growing really fast. So I'm very grateful to them for picking up my work, but and then I'll link my my WordPress as soon as I can find it.
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm trying to wean myself away from Facebook also. So I don't know, somebody put, I think it was Miriam says she's not a Facebook. So I'm trying to get there, but it's just really hard because everybody's on Facebook now.
Cesar, can you tell us the title of your collection? Jose wanted to know. I'm curious too.
Yeah, so my title, the collection will be called Speaking with Grackles by Soapberry Trees. And this next piece is part of that collection. I think it goes along with the theme a little bit. It's more connected to hope, but I think hope is connected to peace. And I hope that's what the poem conveys. So it's titled Abecedarian for Borderland Ghosts. Around 6 a.m., buttressed by the indigo, cool of dawn, did you feel the leap? Everyone soaring over fields like rows of black feathers, grieving for the other, how they hunger to be solid. Inside each, you could pry open the wind, jawed like a hyena, need an oracle of teeth. Let the light be done. Mark this a game of truth, not yet a Halloween, ornament of bruises, praying along the horizon. ¿Quién nos busca? Remembrance and olvido. Shuffle a claim of constellations. Tú, mi otro yo. Under the loam, voluted accents wait for the fresh X, heralding the new cycle. Ya viene el nuevo amanecer, zapateando. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I think it's a telltale sign that you feel a sense of hope when you smile at the very end of the reading of the poem, like a
Yeah,
satisfaction, a satisfaction. Thank you.
yeah. There's a little bit in there.
Zapateando, yeah.
Zapateando vienen los the new cycle, right? That's what we all hope for.
Oh, there it is. Ya viene el nuevo amanecer.
Cesar, are you going to be dancing anywhere or any way for New Year's Eve?
Am I what?
Are you going to be dancing for New Year's Eve?
I don't know. If I do, I'll post it. Maybe by myself, but I don't know.
Well, actually, I should mention this, but I'm hoping to it's going to be last minute, but I think it's okay because you don't have to drive anywhere, is to put together a dance party with Lorna D. Cervantes on Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
Because I know she was lamenting, and Lorna D. Cervantes is an esteemed poeta, and she's one of my mentors. And she was lamenting that those Zoom dance parties only last 45 minutes or an hour, and she likes to dance for 2 or 3 hours. So I'm working on trying to put together a long ass dance party online, and I've been asking several different people to share some good dance tunes. So various people have been sending me, and I'm compiling them. So that's the next thing that I work on starting around 10 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
But I think if we call it Dancing with Lorna D. Cervantes, then she'll come. and unless you have an issue or some accessibility issue, I'm gonna ask if people can keep their camera on, because she said that she wants to be able to see everybody dancing. So I thought that would be a nice gift for a one of the elder poetas that I respect and revere so much. So stay tuned. You too can be dancing in a square with us. Thank you, Cesar, so much. And did you share all los datos and how to reach you and stuff in the?
Not yet, but I will put them shortly.
Okay, I know you have a WordPress site, so cool.
Yeah.
And Lorraine, you also have a blog. I know you call South America Traveler. So if you haven't put that link in, Lorraine, please do so. It'd be great to see that. Jeffrey, you have a question for Cesar?
No, I'm just saying hello back to Brian.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Lorraine. Gracias. So who's up next is none other than, she scrolls, Jose Rodriguez, otra vez. So there you are. Take it away, sir. Take it away.
Hi, yeah. Okay. So this is my second poem. It's called Shelter. And it's available online. If you just Google that and my name, it'll come up, Jose Antonio Rodriguez. And here we go. It's a little bit longer than the first one.
Can you hold the book
Don't
up?
misunderstand.
Do you have the book?
What? No, it's a magazine.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask for you to hold it up. Oh, it's been printed in the New Yorker.
Yeah. This past year. Yeah, in April. Yeah.
Kudos.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's why it's available online, and yeah. Don't misunderstand me. I love a good poem, like half my Facebook friends, one that transports you to a corner of the soul you didn't know was there because you couldn't find the precise metaphor, even if you felt it. Like that time my parents saw a local news story of an older woman asking for help with an ailing husband, and I volunteered to drive them to the address on screen, a neighborhood I'd never driven through, though it looked familiar with its usual poverty. A few leaning boards called a house, and inside the woman from the news in half light, thanking us for the comforters in our hands and pointing to a fold-out chair where we could place them, before introducing us to her husband, a scraggly beard beneath a crinkled blanket on a cot right there, in what would have been the living room, groaning in the muted manner of those who know this is as good as it'll get. The woman's nonstop small talk about, so it is, life's a struggle, and please stay a while, and take a seat, as if we were long-missed relatives. All this in Spanish, though I translate it here because I want to reach the widest audience and not burden the monolingual English reader when they've already gifted me their time by reading this, which I'll call a poem, one that my parents can't read, as they only speak Spanish with that poor Mexican lilt of apology which kept them from interrupting the woman, a Spanish I've kept but rarely use, though I did that moment when I kept telling my mother, we have to go, with an almost impolite urgency, because I couldn't bear one more minute in that near replica of the room of my childhood, even as the woman said, he seems to be in such a hurry. And my mother smiled, making excuses as we turned to leave, while I bemoaned my parents' passive politeness, so common in the Mexican in America, though by then I was already a grad student in upstate New York and down in South Texas for the winter break, between semesters of reading Adichie and Alexi and risking words together to find something like the point of this, some search for the reason for the speaker's love of poems, that pool of the written word as artifact, as a kind of tool against the sometimes overwhelming sadness about all of it, including the fact that some of us, it seems, will never be allowed the time and energy to sit with a poem. Like them in that illusion of shelter, though perhaps they were closer to poetry's pursuit, that edge of oblivion where words begin becoming insufficient, the woman with her frantic speech beseeching us, and the man extending his bony hand out, as if from the cot itself, the tremor of it trying to say something that sounded like a greeting, that sounded like a plea. Thank you.
Thank you. My gosh. Y'all want to unmute yourselves and let Jose hear how you like this poem? Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. Damn.
Amazing.
Good.
Did that take up the whole page? That's a,
It took up 2 pages. Thank you very much.
yeah. You take that space. Center yourself and take that space. Jose, I'd like to have you
Thank
back
you.
for a feature when your book comes out. I hope that can happen next year. Let's do it, okay? Yeah?
Do it.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations on that publication of that piece. It's a very powerful work.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I'll put, maybe I can put my, thank you all, just my website there on the chat in case anyone wants to. I don't have like Twitter or anything like that. I only have Facebook and my own web and my website. If anyone's interested, there we go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And now I'm gonna call Amy to the platform. Aquí. How you doing, Amy?
I'm good.
Great.
I'm really enjoying all this poetry. It's amazing. Thank you
Such
all.
great variety. I love the variety. It's so rich to me to hear so many styles and tones.
Definitely. So I did not say the first time that Native peoples that live where I live or lived where I live, there are so many, being everything from Waccamaw, Sapani, Lumbee, Cherokee, so many different tribal connections. So being in this place, I often do feel a connection to ancient people here. And so while I was by myself in April especially, and really in the thick of being separated from other people, I decided that I would enjoy my house and the different ways that I live in my house. So this is some of the piece that I found. This is a poem, and then I'll do a short haiku at the end. Each little thing sitting in the window sill has a story, whether I remember it or not. Looking out the kitchen window to the front yard, past little clay animal whistles, I see the blooming pink dogwood tree and a brown pelican, a barely blued chicken. The owl is unglazed white clay. A cat, I'd call it burnt sienna. The snail glazed blue-green. Next to it, a frosty green turtle. Then the frog, its eyes open big. Who made this series of little hand-built whistling creatures marked MJ, each one bringing me joy, lined up along my windowsill. And this is my haiku. I love my bed. I will just say that, and then you all will understand why I have to write a haiku about my bed. It happens again. My beloved bed beckons. Surely I'll oblige. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that mean you haven't been suffering insomnia like the other 99% of us?
Oh, I have insomnia, but I like to participate in insomnia in my bed. I also write a lot of poems in my bed.
Oh, sounds like you'd be really comfortable with a fortune cookie message.
I also collect fortune cookie messages, so I have thousands of them.
Miriam caught my joke. That joke was for you, Miriam. In bed, you know, in
my bed, yes.
So sweet, so sweet. Great, great, great. Yeah, let's not talk about me. Thank you for sharing, and I hope you come visit us again, and let me know when you've got new words you might want to share in the future. I know that this was a departure from what you usually do as a visual artist. Are you going to drop some links, Amy, so we can see the visual work you do? If you want to put a link for websites, places where we can see your work, that'd be great.
I put my Instagram, that's basically where I put a lot of artwork. I haven't actually been posting a lot of my artwork, but I will begin doing that because next month I will start an MFA program. So,
oh, congratulations.
I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah.
May I ask where you're going?
It's a school called Vermont College of Fine Arts.
Sure.
And it's a low residency program, so I don't have to move there. And they have a lot of MFA programs, including in poetry, but I will be going for visual arts. So I'm really excited about it.
Wow, congratulations.
I have to build a website and, all that kind of stuff. So
in time, that'll all get done.
In time, yes.
So is it online?
No, it's not online. Oh, well, actually, this January it will be, but it's a low residency program, so you go once every 6 months for a week, a little bit over a week, and all of the programs work that way. So I will, have a local artist here actually as sort of a guide and mentor, and then I'll have a professor that's there. Also, and have that change every semester. So it's pretty exciting.
And where are you? I forgot already.
I live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, okay. North Carolina.
Yeah, don't confuse it for South Carolina, please.
Right. Chapel Hill, right?
Chapel Hill. Yeah, I'm very close to Chapel Hill. Yeah.
Thanks again. Now. We're gonna turn to the face of Ramsey Sprague, sitting in that other square over there, and backed up by some beautiful water. So Ramsey, you ready to go?
Yep. This is the Gulf of Mexico behind me. For those that don't know, Alabama has unbelievable, gorgeous white sand beaches. So it's a real treasure to be just an hour away from this anytime I need it. And the weather is almost always fair, and the Gulf is almost always warm. So I'm going to read a piece from the last album that I put out, and it's called a bas relief, and we'll see how it goes. You has tragedy by the throat. When you laughs, it's so grounded, understandingly. You remembers all too clearly you's mostly friendly commodity, which has been with you for longer than you cares to remember. Longer than you can actually remember. Boxcars of buyers it brings you, but you has no room for their callous insecurity and its attention greedy, binging and purging and incestuosity with inherited ad valorem mating ritual, rendered viciously moot by falsely termed free trade and its duty-free ports of call, so full of shit. You travels lightly and owns little more than relationships, the shortest distances to which are circles. And you relates these through varied mode of communication, rooting out what works to preserve the closeness and community true relationships demand, and what doesn't. But sure, when crossing paths with the crossed, you will glow with their flow to illuminate the path out of their sowing of seeds, their future generations from no fault, defaulty, uncareful, pre-deeding of terrifically torial lands to be brokered by hand, ham-fistedly, and with their arms all army-like and their springs off as ever, with their demands for similarly crossed friends, and how they've memorized the price of nails. You steps outside of concentric familial shells, fitting in fittingly with the misfits of the misfits and the further complicits and revolutionary perspectives, broadening you's body language and damning no dance. Dancers will damn their damn selves if need be. It's up to you to simply support you's dance's needs and supplement it with healthy doses of question. The only tragedy in such a position is remaining silent when in opposition, being reactionarily cruel when one is but a school of one, remaining in place when leaving is the best case, or falling asleep in the midst of an important bedtime story. You offers explosives if a big bang is needed, consoles tender, holy wounds when best to offer calmer treatment. But you typically sticks to sensitive. You tries to remain responsive. You strives to stay swimmingly humane. And you better fucking believes you is never not a nervous system.
Yeah.
Thank you all. So I do Bandcamp. So the link to my online Bandcamp is there. Thanks for having me, Tammy. I've really enjoyed. And thank you everyone who's read. Such a treat for a nice Saturday night after Christmas.
I would have loved to have heard you singing, but your speaking voice was really enchanting as well. And I love the trickster edge to that piece you just read. I love it. Yeah, really wonderful. Thank you. And yeah, people are as it's a beautiful way of using the chat. Just any words or phrases that are lines that sing to you. Yes, go ahead and proclaim them in the chat as a way to, one, lodge them in memory deeper, because that happens when I take notes. I lodge them in the memory deeper, but also helps share with others the parts of the poems that really sung out for you in particular, in specific. Hands-fistedly. I love, yeah, just a lot of rich variety tonight. And I thank you for all of that. Any questions for Ramsey? Any questions for any of the poets from the listeners who have been listening, including the poets themselves who read? If anybody has any kind of...
Ramsey, you said that was from your last album.
Mhm.
And where is that available?
It's on the link I put in the chat. It's theshortestdistance.info.
Okay, thank you.
Well, at this moment, I would like to ask you for a little indulgence, and that is to let me share a tiny little bit of something that I thought was really curious. This year and during the pandemic, I've been watching films by the Japanese filmmaker Ozu, who's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. And I've done a kind of a self-study, a self-paced study of his work, starting with his first talkie films in the 1930s, the black and white films. And I'm about to start with the color films because I've been spacing them out. At first I was kind of grinding through them at a fast clip because I thought the pandemic would be over in a matter of weeks. So I was watching 2 or 3 of the Ozu films. But now that this thing seems to be never ending, I'm spacing out the viewings, the screenings of the films to like one a month or one every other month. And what was interesting to me is that, and I'll share this image, I had on one of his films and it was so exciting that I felt there was such a kind of a reciprocal sympathy or an empathy, or almost like, yeah, we're in this together, lady in Texas named Tammy. And here's why I felt that they were kind of speaking that to me. Let me see if I can do that. These characters, for no reason that made any sense to the plot line, were wearing masks. And I was so excited and thrilled, like, yay, you're my people, you're wearing masks. Even though there was no explanation for the masks and it was only in 1 or 2 scenes, and then the mask disappeared after that. They weren't pivotal to the plot whatsoever. And I thought, oh my gosh, even the characters in my films during COVID are wearing masks now when they weren't wearing them 5 or 7 movies before. And I felt like, okay, we can build affinities with imaginary characters and creatures, you know, living around, like the coyotes that are taking over the parks or showing up on university campuses now. You know, these affinities with creatures and people that you never felt that you could feel allegiances with or alliances with. So I think that's another way of creating bridges. Just harking back to the poem we heard earlier, is finding affinities with peoples and things, inanimate objects, with pets, with bottles that help get you through. So I'm going to invite you to write something in the chat that speaks to that idea of creating affinities with entities that you may not have felt an affinity with before. And I have to do a quick break and I'll be right back. So what do we have?
Brian. Yeah, Brian. Where's Brian?
So cute.
Well, Brian said it's something about a cat. Now I don't see him. Not here anymore. So I was going to say, you know, here's one. If you notice the whiskers, they're not black, they're white. I'm selling. There you are, Brian. I'll bring it within 200 miles. Yep, I'm ready for a road trip. And these guys need a mama. I mean, a daddy mama. Breaks my heart every time one of them leaves. Is there a cat in every parlor? Go, go, go.
Thank you for sharing in the chat. I can't wait to read these. And before we go, I just want to make sure that everyone knows that if you want to save the chat, the easiest way to do that I've learned is if you open the chat down where it says to everyone, and then you see that little icon and then file. Just to the right of that is a kind of a square image icon with the ellipses. Click on that, and then it'll say save chat in the drop down menu. Click on save chat, and it'll save the chat as a Word text, like a text file. So if you want to, you know, if you're a digital, a digital hoarder like I am. Raise your hand if you're a digital hoarder. That's a great way to save the chats. And then, you know, of course, it'll have all the info about how to contact one another and websites, etc. Who's beaming? I'm not.
Lorraine.
This is great. Thank you so much for your time. And it's almost 10 o'clock, and I'm just going to say, if folks want to unmute themselves and share one last burst of energetic, do it now.
Good evening, everybody. Have a nice night.
Thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Tammy.
Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Love
Thank you,
it.
Tammy.
No,
Thank you all for your voices.
Beautiful as always.
Good night.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
an affinity with me.
Buenas noches. Thank you,
Have a good
Tammy.
one.
Buenas noches.
Night.
Thank you all.
Adios.
Good
Hasta
night. Cheers
luego.
to all. Be safe. Have a happy new year. We'll dance.
Una cervecita, chica.
Water.
It's the same one. I'm a slow drinker, so it's not like I'm boozing. Well, I'm gonna turn off the recording. I'll stop the recording now. Thank you very much for participating.